how building your business on biblical principles leads to success. So, when it comes to building a business as a Christian, it's easy to fall really into the world's pattern of measuring success by the numbers, right? Profits, followers, accolades. While these metrics can be useful, God's design for success really does look very different. And by embracing this definition, it allows us to root our businesses in values that last and really serve a purpose beyond those profits. And here's how to build a business aligned with God's reasons, redefining success in biblical principles. That's what we're going to talk about today. And I have 6 things that we're going to look through, 6 biblical principles that are really the important measures for you to know that you're succeeding in the way that God wants you to succeed in your business. So, hey there, wise woman. This is Deneen TB, your Christian business growth strategist and clarity coach. And I've helped hundreds of women just like you learn to have a God-centered business that is perfect for them. And I want to invite you to get my free training. It's called How to Build an Impactful Business That Serves God and Perfectly Aligns with His Design of You, without first waiting for a sign from God, even developing a brand or having a website. Okay, so you can get that down in the description. So we're going to get into these 6 principles for a successful business. And if you're going to notice, there's going to be a lot of alliteration, which of course I love. So the first thing we're going to talk about is purpose over profit. I know you're saying, I'm in business, I need to make a profit. Well, let's see what it really means. Purpose over profit. In a typical business mindset, as I said, profit reigns supreme, right? Success is often judged by your revenue, by the growth rates that you have, and even your position in the market being seen as an expert. But for a business built on biblical principles, purpose is primary. God calls us all, each one of us, to use our gifts and our talents and our experiences and the opportunities that He puts in front of us to serve others and to bring glory to His name. So, this biblical principle comes from Colossians 3:23, and it encourages us to do this. Whatever you do, it says, work with all of your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters. So our work, what it does, it actually becomes an act of worship when we focus on glorifying God rather than ourselves. Purpose-driven businesses look beyond the profits and ask this question. And I want you to ask this question to yourself as well. How am I serving others and honoring God through this work? Go ahead and let me know in the comments if you're here. I know that I had a little bit of problems with my first attempt at this today. So hopefully you are able to hear me. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. That would be awesome. Okay, our second principle that we're going to be looking at is people over popularity. People over popularity. Now, the world, again, measures how we're doing by our visibility, by our popularity. But what God does is He really wants to look at the depth of your relationships. You know, the health of our business connections should be the depth of our relationships, whether that's with our clients or our team members, our partners, even with our competitors. All of that matters to God, as does how we treat each one of those people along the way in our business adventure, our business journey. Loving others and genuinely caring for their needs is way more important than our own self-promotion. Now, this biblical principle comes from Mark 12:31, directly from Jesus, where He says, love your neighbor as yourself. So what are we doing? We're loving God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. We're loving others as ourselves. So by putting people over popularity, it means that we're seeking to really serve those around us, even if there's really not any immediate reward. True success reflects a commitment to the relationship, each of those relationships, and seeing others really not as an asset or a number, but really valuing each individual. That's what God is looking at. That's what is important. Okay, our third one here is faithfulness over fame. Now you might say, well, fame sounds like popularity. Okay, it's a little bit different, but let's look at this. Faithfulness over fame. You know, our culture does prize it. It does prize that we can get famous. That's what everybody's trying to do, right? In our Instagram world. Yet what God prizes is faithfulness. So what does that look like? In God's eyes, that means you're working with consistency. You're working with dedication and commitment. You have integrity behind what you do. These are all signs of success. Faithfulness means really stewarding all of our responsibilities well. And that's the difference, doing it well. Whether you are seen by thousands of people or just a few. What it is, it's really a measure of success that grows over time. And what it's doing is developing character within us. And why is that important? Because that's what God is using to make us more like his son. He is using our businesses. So we need to be really conscious of that. The biblical principle in Luke 16:10 tells us, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And that's what's really important. Are you being faithful to the small things, the beginnings, the small things that you're doing? You know, it's seen even in our society, those people who say, oh, when I make a lot of money, I'm going to give more to charity. But what happens is that it's not true. What happens is if you're not generous when you have little, you will not be generous when you have much. Faithfulness in our work is really about staying true to God's call, no matter how big the task is or how small the task is. That's what God values most, is that we are faithful, that we are continuing to stay true to what he has called us to do. So instead of striving for the fame, we need to focus on really being faithful to our unique calling, trusting that God sees the value in our commitment, and we value it as well. Okay, the next one, number 4 that we're going to be talking about. If any of this is pricking something in your heart, in your brain, let me know. Let me know that you're here. This would be awesome. I know we had a little bit of glitch before, so I'm just going to keep going. Okay, the 4th thing we're going to talk about is integrity over immediate gain. Integrity over immediate gain. So again, we're going to contrast this, what does the world say, with what God says, right? Because in business, it can be really, really simple for us to really focus on the short-term gains, the quick results. That's what we all want. However, God's principles, again, emphasize integrity. So this means that you choose things like honesty, transparency, those ethical practices, even if it actually costs in that short term, in the short run, right? Integrity really, what it does is it builds your reputation. It builds a reputation that honors God, and it really does create a solid foundation for our businesses that's really more valuable in the long run to those fast profits. Now, the biblical principle here comes from Proverbs 11:3, which teaches, the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. So success rooted in integrity honors God. You see that? Success rooted in integrity honors God. It really reflects his character, and it fosters trust in our clients and in our colleagues, our team members, all those people in our sphere of influence. Godly success really may not be quick, but it's enduring. And I think I'm talking to my own self today, that this is interesting. Okay, we're on number 5, which is stewardship over self-indulgence. Stewardship over self-indulgence. A business built on biblical values really does prioritize stewardship over accumulating all the things, the wealth, the personal gain, all of that stuff. God blesses us really with resources that we need, the opportunities that we need, and of course, he's equipped us with all the skills that we need. Not so we can hoard them, not so we can say we're better than everybody else and put ourselves up on a pedestal, but really so we can manage them well and multiply them, that ripple effect that goes out for his purposes. Stewardship includes things like wise management of all those things that God has given us, whether that's our finances, management of our time, management of our talents, and really a heart that is generous with those resources. When I think about this and I think about the biblical principle, I would go to Matthew 25, 14 through 30, which is the parable of the talents. And this is where Jesus really emphasized and highlighted the importance of stewardship. If you remember this parable, he says, the kingdom of God is like a master who has gone away and he entrusts different amounts to each of his servants. So he has one servant with 5, another servant with 2, another servant with 1 talent. And this is actual money, but we can liken it to the gifts and talents that God has given us, right? How are we stewarding them? How are we using them? And so we are to use them. The first servant doubles. The second servant doubles. The third servant buries it, and the third servant is scolded for that, and it's taken away from him. Again, that principle of faithful with some, you will get more, right? So really what success in God's eyes really involves is using all those things that he's given us, because the first servant and the second servant get the same reward. They do things differently. One invests it, one works really hard. So they do different things with it for the same result, right? So we've been given all of these things, our values, our talents, our strengths, our experiences, our expertise, our personality even, and our spiritual gifts, really to produce something good and faithful to our own calling. And that's the work that I get to do with Calling Clarity, is help you figure all of that out. How can I use my 5-to-1 talent to give God glory through business? So we're to approach our businesses and our business resources really with gratitude, with generosity, ready to invest in others and in God's kingdom. Really? Yeah, that's how it works. That's how it works. So how do we measure success, or how does the world measure success versus how God measures it? Okay, so far what have we seen? We've seen that the world's success is money and popularity and fame and power, right? What is God's success? God's success is faithfulness, integrity, service, love, stewardship, and purpose. So what do we do now? How do we respond to that? Well, this is the 6th thing. The 6th thing is we are to surrender over self-reliance. Surrender over self-reliance. The key principle of building a business God's way is surrender. Now, success in God's eyes requires that first we trust him with the outcomes, with the results, with everything that we're doing, and we remain open to his direction. Self-reliance, again, is highly valued by the world, and we've talked about that before on a former podcast, how other coaches will be internal, right? That's what we have to do. Self-reliance, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But God invites us to depend on him. Surrendering our business plans to God and allowing him to really guide us really transforms how we approach every single decision. Has this been true for you? Has it been true that when you surrender to God, things start to feel more at ease? You're starting to feel the satisfaction of being in the business that God has asked you to be in. Do you need that satisfaction? Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. You know it. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, surrender to him, and he will make your paths straight. When we surrender our plans, our ambitions, and even our definition of success to God, we align really with his purposes. True success really lies in obedience. obedience, and really that heart yielded to his direction. So where are we going from here? Where are we going? Well, what we need to be doing really is building our businesses with God's reasons, for his reasons. He is promising us satisfaction. He is promising us to feel significant in his eyes, which is much more important than in the world's eyes. Building a business really with biblical principles, I know it is countercultural, and it really calls us to think about this, to reframe and redefine success, focusing on God's reasons over my own ambitions, your own ambitions. That's what we need to do. And we may still experience traditional, quote, success. We'll still have financial growth. We are in business. We'll probably still have some influence, and we will be able to expand, scale our businesses. But these are really the byproducts of what we should be focusing on, not the primary goals of what we are focusing on. The most fulfilling business adventure, business journey, is really one that is rooted in God's values and surrendered to his will. So, if you're ready to know more about how you can have a successful business built on God's idea of success, again, I'm going to invite you to join me in the free training, How to Build an Impactful Business That Serves God and Perfectly Aligns with his design of you. That's down in the description. Go ahead and get that. Because by measuring success as God does, with purpose, faithfulness, integrity, love, we can build a business that honors him and serves the world when we trust him to really shape the definition of what success is. We'll find peace, we'll find satisfaction, and we're going to find joy in the journey, knowing that what we're building is going to be eternal. So let me know in the comments. Thanks for joining me. If you're here, I know it's going to be a replay for most people because of my little glitch, but let me know which of these 6 principles really has sparked something for you and how you want to build your business. Again, make sure to click the link below in for the training, and make sure to like the video. And especially if you're enjoying this content, do subscribe. And of course, I will see you in the comments. This is Deneen TB. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, be filled to overflowing.